Mark, as we've been discussing some of these panic attacks, I've noticed that one of the things you do is focus on your sensations when they come along. So focus on your heartbeat and sweating and so on. I'd like to try a little sort of experiment, a little experience here to see if we can look at that aspect of the panic attacks and look at that aspect of your behaviour in more detail. Yeah, I'll explain what I'd like you to do and see if you go okay with that. What I'm proposing that we do is that we focus in on one aspect of our body, our hands, and try and focus our attention fully on our hands and just see what happens. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to speak too much. I'm going to just speak enough to try and help you to focus in on your hand. And I just want you to kind of pay attention to what you notice, if anything. Okay? I'm not sure where this would lead, but let's just take that and see what happens. Okay then, so to do this exercise, what I would ask you to do is just to hold your hand out, and I'll do it as well, just to kind of... Right. And what I'd like you to do is to, first of all, just look at your hand generally. Okay, so just kind of scan your hand. Look at the creases, the folds on the palm of your hand. And focus in on any sensations that you might feel on your hand or in your hand. And if you notice anything, please feel free to just mention it.
It feels like it's creaking.
Yeah.
And I can feel like it throbbing in my fingers, like my heart.
So you can kind of feel a pulse. Alright. So there's a kind of creaking sensation and a pulse. Okay. Try and focus in on those sensations. Just really pay attention to those sensations.
And they're getting worse.
Yeah.
And they feel tingly now.
There's a tingling. That's interesting. That's certainly a sensation that I'm getting while I'm focusing on my fingers. That I can feel my pulse, and I'm kind of noticing a tremor in my hand. So you're getting a tingling.
It feels uncomfortable as well.
Yeah. Could you describe that?
Like it's tense.
So there's a tension there. Does that tension change at all? Does it remain stable?
Yeah, I feel like I want to put my arm down.
Right.
It feels quite tense because I'm holding it up, concentrating on it.
Okay. Let's just stop there then. What do you make of that little sort of experience, that experiment we've just had?
The more I focused on it, the worse it became.
Yeah. Okay, and that certainly was the same for me when I was focusing on my fingers. I did notice that I suddenly felt sensations which I wasn't really aware of before focusing in. Yeah. If we think about the model that we've mapped out, and in particular that element about focusing on feelings when they come along.
It got worse.
Yeah. Did the feelings in your fingers, did you notice?
When I noticed them, but like when you were saying to concentrate on them, they seemed to get like worse.
Before I even asked you to focus on your hand, did you notice any of those sensations? No. So prior to actually asking you to specifically focus in, you didn't notice those?
No.
What does that tell us? What might we gain from that?
It's about attention, isn't it? If you focus down on something, you'll either see it or you'll be more aware of it.
Yeah, there's something about that, isn't there? If you kind of focus your attention on something, it can seem bigger, brighter, louder. Common things are if you listen to noises around the house, once you notice something like a clock ticking or maybe traffic outside, once you notice that, it seems to kind of get louder. Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah. So it's a similar sort of theory, a similar sort of thing, that if we focus in on a particular part of our body, heartbeat or feeling hot, it can appear to worsen.
Okay.
Just out of interest, what's your fingers feeling like now?
Fine.
Fine.
The colour's come back as well.
So what does that tell us?
I'm not giving it any attention, I suppose, am I?
Yeah. So you stop taking notice of it,
Mm.
and it's almost like it changes again.
It doesn't feel as tense anymore either.
So if we kind of try and think about that in terms of panic attacks, one of the things you've talked about is that you're always kind of waiting for the next one to come along. So it's almost like you kind of...
Do you think I'm like looking at my hand then over my body?
Kind of, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, it's kind of like if you're waiting for something, does that mean you're looking for it? You're attending to it. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just wondering whether that might help us to understand an element of the panic attacks.
Okay.